20 frames a second versus the Canon 5D Mark IV. Both, I have the 100 to 400. I own the 5D Mark IV. I enjoy it a lot. It's a great camera. I'm using it to film this one right now at the 50 mil. It's not a wildlife camera, obviously, with the low frame rate, but it's good for stills, which is what I like to do as well. But wildlife's something that I enjoy doing. So I know that the D500 is out there as well, the Nikon, but after hearing all the hype about the 20 frames per second, the electronic viewfinder, I had to rent it and see if it really is a good wildlife camera, and it is. The 5D Mark IV is good for landscape, and you can do wildlife with it, which I've been doing a lot. I've gotten some really good pictures of it taken with it. It's a good lens. It's sharp. On the long range 400, it's all right. It all depends on settings and the sun and so forth, things like that. But it's not a true wildlife camera. And the 7D Mark II is a 5-year-old camera. I don't want to buy a 5-year-old piece of technology. The A9, state-of-the-art Sony, comes out 20 frames a second, live view. The autofocus on this thing, it really is amazing. Coming from the 5D Mark IV, which is not a wildlife camera by no means, it can track stuff. I have to follow it with the camera, hit the autofocus, back button focus, get little dots on it, you know, and it does fine. But all the reviews I read about, you know, reading in YouTube and the lock-on AF flexible spot, it's damn impressive. There was a time when I was shooting this turkey vulture. I was shooting anything in the sky I could get. I just want to test it out, and I locked on to it. The autofocus hit it, and I could actually just keep the lens still, and it's going to fly in focus, tracking the whole time from the left of the viewfinder to the right of the viewfinder. And so I just slowly just turned the camera, and it still stayed on. My finger's on the autofocus button, and hitting the 20 frames per second. I mean, you're not missing a shot with this thing. There were times if the bird went in to the trees, or the trees are behind the bird and it's flying like this or whatever, it will lose focus in the lock-on AF flexible spot. It will switch over to the leaves moving or whatever, a branch that sticks out or whatever it may be. So I didn't like that. So I found out the expand flex spot was the one that I used the most. When I could see it happening, I'd try to switch, hit the C2 button, and you can just switch right up to it or whatever. And that worked fine. It's just like shooting with the Canon, or I'm assuming you had to get little squares, you know, autofocus points right on it and track it the whole time, and you know they're popping up and in focus, whatever, and that worked good. But I just wish that that autofocus lock-on flexible spot worked when the bird went near trees. Like I was shooting the seagull, it was down there on the mud bank, and there were marsh grass kind of sticking out, and every now and again the marsh grass would move because of the wind. Autofocus would just lock onto that, and the seagull was, say, eating a crab or a little fiddler crab or whatever. I have to switch from lock on AF flexible spot to expand flexible spot, and that could cause you to miss a shot. That's just my only gripe about it. But other than that, it's amazing. I've never used a camera that can do this. So good job, Sony. The image quality on this is good. I did a lot of stills. I went to St. Augustine Alligators Farm or Zoo, and I first walked in with a Sony A9, went into 400. I was taking pictures. And of course nothing's moving. It was real bad lighting conditions. You're in a zoo with trees over, so it's overcast, you know, bad conditions or whatever. And the pictures were great. Got a hand stamped, walked out to my truck, grabbed a Canon 5D Mark IV with 100 to 400, tried taking the same pictures of the same compositions and things like that, and comparing them, they look just the same to me. Granted, nothing's flying, nothing's being tracked, obviously, which this would blow out of the water. And I do got pictures to show examples of that as well. But the image quality is just as good. 24 wildlife camera. I can't imagine what this thing would do with sports. I mean, birds are hard enough, like I said, with the AF tracking, with branches and trees moving and things like that. It'll switch over to that real fast, but locking onto, say, a quarterback or a wide receiver or something, it probably just tracks and runs down the field. So that would be really impressive. I wish I'd gotten out to do a football game or something to see what that looked like. In conclusion, they're both great cameras. They're both totally designed for different photographers. Would I buy this? No. As much as I want a wildlife camera, I'm gonna wait till the Mark D 3, 5D Mark 7D Mark III comes out. I really don't expect Sony to push the boundaries on that thing, but I'm curious. I gotta wait. I'm pretty much Canon invested. I got all my lenses are L series, and they're good. I'm happy with it, but I want a wildlife camera. When the 7D Mark III comes out, I'll wait, see what the specs are. Depending on the specs, whether I rent or not, I don't know. But the D500 right now is calling my name. I don't want to spend 4K on a camera, 2100 on a lens. I have to sell my 100 to 400. Right now, it's just too much of a gamble for me. I don't want to do that. Invest $6,000-7,000 for one lens, one camera. I'd rather stay in the Canon lineup. If you're on the fence like me, thinking about Sony wildlife camera, I would wait. I'd wait till the A9 II comes out. Hopefully it'll have a bigger grip. Maybe a different body. I wasn't a big fan of this body, to be honest with you. This dial right here doesn't feel like good quality. Doesn't feel good spinning it. The front one's fine. But a lot of times when I went to spin this, I was hitting my EV switcher or whatever it's called, I don't know. And it's not touchscreen, which, why in the hell would you make something that's not touchscreen these days? That's just beyond me. I know it's touch to focus, but you can't use live view unless you're shooting video on wildlife. So, well, maybe on sports you could do it on a tripod. I mean, I could see the point of that. But for wildlife, things happen too quick. Another thing I didn't like is when I'm walking, I got my camera strapped and it's hanging down, bird flies out real fast. Things happen fast, wildlife photography. So I go to pull it up, turn it to smooth, spin the thing, look through the viewfinder, and it's dark. It shuts off. So I got to press the AF button or the shutter halfway pressed and pull everything up, and that takes maybe a second and a half. It's not very quick responsive. I know it's an auto shut off. I didn't want to drain the battery, so I had to shut off every, I think, 5 minutes or something like that. But still, when you have to pull it up and hit it, this wake up time, sleep mode, or whatever you want to call it, takes a second. Well, by that time you could have already missed a bird flyby. So I didn't like that. As opposed to the Canon, I can pull my 5D up, press the autofocus, back button focus, and it's ready to go. I mean, it's instantaneous. Maybe it's a firmware update, I don't know. But that was one of the things I did not like. And I'm walking and I'm constantly having my hand in there pressing the back button focus to keep the camera on. You know, pros, it's fast. When I was down with Doc shooting stuff, that 20 frames a second was amazing. And I didn't know how amazing it was. I put this down, grab my 5D Mark IV to shoot roughly the same composition, seagull or whatever it may be, do comparative shots, and it's night and day. Obviously, I know this is not designed, the 5D Mark IV is not designed for that, but 7 frames a second compared to 20, and electrical shot, mechanical electrical is a big difference. I'd love to see the 7D Mark III do 14 frames a second, which I think their 1DX does that, so they probably won't do that. But one thing they really could do is put the live view in, make this the optical viewfinder better. The Canon's is outdated. It's pretty crappy. The mono screen they got right here, I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's 1980s, you know. They need to do something with that. But you know, when it comes down to, the pictures are great. The camera feels great in the hand. So they're good cameras, both designed for different stuff. Obviously, I enjoyed shooting with this. If I had 4K lying around, and I was looking for a brand new DSLR, yeah, I'd go with this. But after having shot on Canon, I don't want to switch right yet. Another thing about the Sony, they don't have the lenses. I guess when I had put the 2x teleconverter, this made this a 200 to 800. So I'm guessing that may be the longest lens you can get for Sony right now. It's good. The extra reach, I really liked. I mean, I may end up having to get a teleconverter for the Canon, because I definitely can see how it made much more improvement than I thought it would shooting. So I've never shot with an 800mm lens, obviously, but it's a good camera. I just wouldn't buy it right now. I would wait till the A9 II comes out. If you're looking for wildlife, just wait. Wait till the Mark 70 Mark III comes out. By then, the D500 will probably come down in price. I mean, it's just rapidly dropping. So overall, it's a good camera. I enjoyed shooting with it. 20 frames a second, you can't go wrong. But I would just end up waiting. Thanks for watching.